Sup, I'm Marcy Bones Jones, and this is Bonediggre Byte-size. Today, I'm going to tell you about Hideo Kojima's Konami Computer Entertainment Japan's the Nintendo Game Boy Advance's unique and incredible Sunlight Action RPG, Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hand. I am probably going to tell you too much about it. Or maybe not enough. I'm doing this fully for the passion and the love that I have for this game, so although this is a quote-unquote bite-sized program, I may get carried away in introducing you to the game that I have, time and time again, told my friends and loved ones, has been for 20 years, and still is my all-time, tip-top favorite game. Also, please don't be fooled by my joking tone. I write mainly to amuse myself, but I really do passionately love this game. I really do want more people to know more about it, especially as intimately as I do. Seriously, a friend told me the other night that their friend was streaming a first-time Boktai playthrough on Twitch, and when I dropped in, I thought that I could guess, completely unprompted, exactly where in the game they were from my initial sight of their gameplay progress alone, right after the Twitch ad ended and the loading screen donut wheel disappeared. And I was right. I did guess exactly where they were. So take my hand, preferably the one that doesn't have the sun in it. And here we go. Though Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hand, is a particularly obscure and unplayed game, it's not the most obscure and unplayed game on Earth. That coveted title probably goes to Ghoul Panic. Nobody except for fools and creeps care about Ghoul Panic. But what do everyday people actually know about the game? As is more commonly known now than I would have dared believe circa 2004, back when I became the world's undisputed #1 Bokhead, Boktai is a solar-powered action RPG for the Game Boy Advance. I mean that literally. The game cartridge itself has a tiny solar panel and unique shape that pokes said tiny square of light detection hardware out from just above your screen, or under your start select buttons, if you're playing on a Game Boy Advance SP. And when I said literally, I meant literally. This little sensor will only respond to ultraviolet rays, and will completely ignore any conventional lighting setup. Unless you have a blacklight ready, you dirty cheater. To the somewhat uptight and prematurely cantankerous lower to upper middle class parent in the 20-aughts, this game was an olive branch extended by the novelty wristband-clad arm of 6th generation gaming kid culture. It was a game that forced you, the introverted, unoutdoorsy child shut-in, to take your gaming outside. If that's the extent of your layman's knowledge of the game, then let me tell you, you don't know Jack, buddy. Let me take you on a little tour of the game. Let's pretend that we can go back to 2004-ish, just a short time after the game's release in North America, when you had just turned 10 years old in mid-June of that year. You had spotted a tiny blurb about the game sometime before in Disney Adventures magazine's video game review section, and, on reading their tiny but favorable review of the game, had thought, well now, that sounds like a cool game. From the creator of Metal Gear, huh? I'd play that. Sadly, you were a 9-year-old idiot, and did not have any independent purchasing power at the time, let alone any real sense of what does or does not amount to robust video game critique. Also, when you heard, from the creator of Metal Gear, you definitely pictured Metal Slug. Thank you. Like I said, you don't know Jack. But that was then, and this is now. You're 10 years old, and a relative who probably didn't know you had taken any sort of passing interest in that blurb in Disney Adventures magazine has gifted you this new game for your Game Boy Advance SP, Boktai. The Sun is in Your Hand. You open the package. The instruction booklet is gorgeous, and pretty packed full of interesting information about the characters and setting. Enough to get your imagination running, but not too much for your 10-year-old brain to handle without getting painfully bored. Boktai is a game about magical gunslingers from a city called San Miguel, who once wielded the solar gun, Gun del Sol, in a war against the immortals, vampires from beyond our solar system. Looking back years later, you'll notice that the Spanglish in the solar gun, Gun del Sol's sobriquet, and the name San Miguel are obvious references to Sergio Leone's so-called spaghetti westerns, particularly 1964's A Fistful of Dollars. But for now, it's enough to know that this is a game about rootin' tootin' cowboys who fight cosmic vampires from another world. When you start up the game, It asks you to input your local time, date, and time zone, so that the game can calculate things like sunrise and sunset times, and even coordinate moon phases. Wow! This game keeps playing, even when you aren't. Where have I heard that before?
Welcome to Animal Crossing, the live game that's happening every minute of every day, whether you're playing or not.
From this point on, let me try a little experiment. I'm going to see if I can describe the whole of Boktai's tutorial area from memory alone. Don't think this is any simple task. The tutorial area only lasts from startup to title drop, but it's a hefty tutorial for what ends up becoming a meaty game. As I've said though, you're watching a video by somebody who prides himself on having guessed, unprompted, exactly where in the game a complete stranger was, on Twitch, from just one glance.
Wait, you know what this could be? Is this
ISTRAKAN? Is this Fog Castle?
Oh my gosh. Okay, we will take that.
I can describe to you exactly how the first area of the game plays out, step by step, without any refreshment for my memory. We'll have footage here to back me up, so I don't need to weave everything into a verbal tapestry for you. But I expect you to be very, very impressed anyway. And if I get anything wrong, my brother Colin will tell you. Here we go.
In a place not too far from here and now, the end of the world approaches. The undead appear, breaking the natural cycle of life and death. The evolution of species ceases, and one by one, they become extinct.
I'm gonna stop us here for just a second, because I want to appreciate the unbelievable fidelity of the voice recording samples that this game pushes through the GBA's tiny speakers. As though someone shoved premium-grade Angus beef through a Play-Doh lattice and got a gourmet experience out the other end, instead of just an hour of fruitless frustration and oily clay hands. It really does sound this crisp in real life.
In a place not too far from here and now, the end of the world approaches.
With that last sultry word, extinct. The darkness is banished, and in its place is a hilltop crossroads, seen through a thick fog from a top-down, isometric perspective. Our protagonist, you, the Solar Boy, heir to the Solar Gun, Gun del Sol, strides out of the haze. Another mysterious voice briefly muses on the current plight of ISTRAKAN, the City of Death, and its suffering under the curse of the immortals and their undeadening. But as it says, now, the sun is finally rising. I pronounce it ISTRAKAN because, as a kid, I looked at that word, and I just thought that was how I should say it. But more imaginatively, and I thought this as a kid too, though maybe not so verbosely, it sounds a little like the word stricken, which is kind of a neat little bit of word association. Like, the land of ISTRAKAN is stricken with the curse of the undeadening. Well, actually maybe that isn't as cool as I thought it was. But more academically, in English, we usually pronounce words with an emphasis of stress on just one syllable. Take connection. It's connection, not connection or connection. Connection. Try it out yourself with other words. Words like ISTRAKAN. Though I will say, when I met someone else who also had a real-life copy of Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand, in real life, he pronounced it ISTRAKAN, which honestly might actually be closer to how it, quote-unquote, should be pronounced in Japanese. You see, Japanese doesn't have stressed syllables in the same way that English does. You usually just run through all syllables with equal emphasis. I, S, to, da, ka, n. Maybe I'm getting off track here, though. Anyway, the owner of this mysterious voice reveals himself as Otenko.
Otenko?
Messenger of the Sun, a little sunflower sprite. After a quick word outlining your current quest for revenge, he points you onwards towards the lair of the vampire who murdered your father, the Count of Ground-Soaking Blood. He is still nursing injuries from the fight in which he slew your father, previous owner of the Solar Gun, Gun del Sol. So now is the time to strike. This short cutscene, with its unexpected perspective shift and entrancing, ominous music, takes your already captured imagination and dresses it up like a Christmas ham. If you weren't locked in on this adventure before, I'll bet you blood to bones that if I asked if you are now, you would reply, "Oh, you bet." Also, as the name of this immortal-type dungeon wind rushes into view, so too does a calculation by the game's internal clock and region setting, which tells you exactly how much time you have left until the sun sets. As the screen fades back into deep darkness for another scene transition, this warning persists. Though it's still a sunny mid-June morning in 2004, and sunset is a full day away, the prognostication of oncoming night fills you still with an unspeakable dread. I love it. Unless you're playing the game at night, that is. Then, the game tells you when the sun will come up. A missive of hope as you make your way through that temporal realm of night, ruled by the undead. You're not playing the first level of this Sunlight game at night, though. You're not some kind of hipster doofus. You're no freak. You're no Ghoul Panic fan. You're a now 10-year-old who loves to game, and plays games right. As we cross into a wide clearing, Otenko stops us, saying mysteriously that this place should be enough. He suddenly cries out with a Taiyo! And summons an expansive magical seal. He explains that this is the pile driver, an enchanted device and ceremonial catalyst that is the only thing that can truly destroy the immortal vampires, and that we must explore Fog Castle, find the Count's coffin, drag him out, and destroy him using said pile driver. So in the original version of this script, I had a whole thing where I was like, implications of pile driver aside, and when Colin looked at the script, he thought that I was making a sex joke. And it is, I absolutely was not making a sex joke. I was referring to like construction equipment, because there's a type of construction apparatus called a pile driver. So when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like an industrial grade high power stake that you're driving through the vampire. That was the implication I was making. It was not supposed to be a sex joke or a wrestling joke. I don't watch wrestling. This quick bit of exposition neatly summarizes the gameplay loop of Boktai. Enter dungeons, fight the boss, drag them backwards through the dungeon you just explored, then destroy them with the almighty power of the sun. We continue on. We pass over a winding castle approach road, flanked by pine trees and fog, and teeming with vicious crows. After that small taste of Boktai's particular style of top-down shooting action, during which you may or may not get the hang of Boktai's rather unique gun-shooting gameplay, as you try to nail the blithely bloodthirsty birds with your weenie little magical sunlight shots, you find yourself at the castle courtyard. Here, we get another micro-tutorial. The courtyard is crawling with speedy, spooky spiders who duck and weave between crates and walls while weaving wild, wet webs that will ensnare you if you aren't careful. Many more subtle lessons are taught to the player here. You should notice that the red spiders have a poison-shooting attack, while the black ones do not. You may also notice that, if an inadequate level of sunlight is hitting the solar sensor, the spider's webs will be invisible. But, as you fire on your arachnoid attackers with your solar gun, Gun del Sol, you may notice that all the webs become visible again each time you shoot, and that they can be destroyed with enough volleys from the solar gun, Gun del Sol. This quick succession of events teaches you the basics on how to navigate the obstacle courses that will obstruct you over the course of the game. How the solar gun, Gun del Sol, has uses beyond the purely offensive, how some obstacles can be removed with nothing more than quick, creative thinking, and how some enemies, of similar appearance, can still have a variety of attacks and methods of player progress impediment. I should also mention, since I didn't state it specifically earlier, that you push the B button to attack, and you push the A button to gather solar energy and recharge the solar gun, Gun del Sol. Like Otenko did earlier, the solar boy, you, will cry out to the sun with a Taiyo every time you do. Cute. That was a lot for one area, so let's pick up the pace a bit. You enter the castle and find yourself in a narrow stone hallway. Here Otenko will introduce you to a few concepts in quick succession. Otenko panels, wall panels that you can use to summon the Messenger of the Sun for some advice. Ghouls or Boks, the main undead flunkies of the Immortals who, like their Dark Masters, are vulnerable to sunlight. And skylights, patches of flickering sunlight that only appear in indoor areas and dungeons when sunlight is hitting the solar sensor, which can be used to recharge the solar gun, Gun del Sol, and even damage undead enemies. The game makes some effort to justify, I think, the title of the game, Boktai, by claiming that ghouls are sometimes known as Boks. Even the different kinds of ghouls, like ice-type ghouls, are called like Chill Boks, and then invisible ghost ghouls are called Veniboks. I have not played the game in Japanese, but I'm pretty sure this isn't a thing in Japanese, because the title, Bokuro no Taiyo, just literally means our sun, so making it into a portmanteau into Boktai. I'm sure some corporate executive somewhere was like, you have to make some kind of sense of that. Boktai? I don't know what a Boktai is. The game's soft stealth system also comes into play. You can flatten yourself against walls to move around quietly. Press the A button while flattened to make a noise and manipulate your enemy's attention, and avoid your enemy's frontal fields of vision to stay out of combat. Given the presence here of potential cover behind crates, an inviting skylight, and an undead enemy with an obvious blind spot, you can guess at the stealth system's endless possibilities. A Hideo Kojima game, this certainly is. Further down this same hallway, you'll find a solar station. This magical machine passively gathers up and stores solar energy hitting the solar sensor, even when you're, in the world of the game, indoors. And you can use it to recharge the solar gun, Gun del Sol, even at night. Handy, huh? Okay, let's actually pick up the pace. In the next room you'll find, on normal difficulty, a new frame for your solar gun, the Night Frame, which allows you to shoot and create a sort of sustained area of effect attack by holding down the B button. This will be your melee move, the Solar Spread. It's powerful but slurps down solar power a lot more quickly than your weenie solar shots. You continue up the stairs to the second floor of the castle and through a short gauntlet of enemies and skylights that will put what you have learned to the test. There's also a small outdoor balcony section that reinforces the idea that dungeons will have indoor and outdoor sections, and that sunlight will be more easily accessible when there is no roof overhead. Neat! Keeping that in mind, we step back into the castle, grabbing a mysterious silver coin from a green chest on our way. You do not find a silver coin here. You find a life fruit. You find a life fruit. There's a life fruit in that green chest. This is another small hint at the larger world of the game. Wow, remember when I said I was going to pick up the pace? Twice? How can you blame me for wanting to take my sweet time when just the first 15 minutes of this game are such a hearty gourmet banquet of intuitive game design? We come to a stone staircase that juts out into darkness, the loftiest area of the castle. We pass by another skylight, an oasis of the sun in this abyss, a reminder that we carry the sun with us into this unnatural shadow. Standing before one last door at the top of the stair, Otenko reminds us that we are about to face the Count, and tells us to be ready to take our just revenge on the cruel immortal, our father's murderer. He may not have recovered from his wounds, but he remains dangerous. Bravely, we step forward into the lair of immortal bloodthirst. What lay in wait past the door is no boss fight at all, just a lonely coffin in an opulent chamber, the recuperating Count. The room is not without danger, however. A swarm of bats appears out of nowhere. After dispatching them with a solar spread or two, or more, if you're a little baby gamer, like my brother, we must drag the coffin back through the castle to the pile driver, in order to rid the world of his dark influence once and for all. A small treasure chest may appear that holds a bunch of lemons. This tangy fruit can increase your speed in Boktai, and in real life. And, since your every step is labored and sluggish with a coffin in tow, this tangy fruit may be of help. Or not actually. The lemon speed boost is completely negated by the coffin dragging. The lemons are useless. It's bananas that'll help you with coffins, because bananas increase your strength in Boktai, and in real life. After tangling with some extra ghouls on our way backwards through the castle, we reach the pile driver. Each time you drag a coffin back to a pile driver, you'll hear very dramatic music that could become annoyingly repetitive if you're a freak, but feels appropriately climactic every time you hear it if you're cool. Otenko stresses that we absolutely must have real sunlight to activate it. So, with the real-life sun overhead and our spirits high, we fire it up and destroy the Count forever. Pile driver battles constitute their own kind of extra round to each immortal boss fight. As you face off with different vampiric foes during pile driver activation, they will each resist the purification process in their own unique ways, utilizing themed attacks that recall whatever they dished out at you during your previous encounter. This is the tutorial though, so the Count doesn't demonstrate much resistance beyond slowly repelling the purifying rays of the pile driver's solar generators. Give them a little boost with your solar spread, and there's nothing that the wicked Count can do to stave off his just desserts. Purification complete. Now that the nightmare is over, you get a cute little results screen with a letter grade, which will become a lot less cute if you decide to devote yourself to an all dungeons S+ grade playthrough down the line. But for now, we feel accomplished. Except, psych! The Count knew we were coming, and the only thing we destroyed was a decoy. He gloats that his wounds have fully healed, and can't resist dropping some cryptic hints at the game's continuing plot. He departs, cackling and arrogant, but still fearing the vengeance of the sun. Otenko, though rattled, gathers his and our resolve. We stride off into the fog again, waylaid, but not defeated. Only now does the title drop. Boktai. A portmanteau of the Japanese title, Bokuro no Taiyo, literally, our sun. So now, after just 3 whoopses, I would say that you know just a little bit more than jack about Boktai. But believe me when I tell you, this is still barely scratching the surface of what the game has to offer. So much can, and should, be said about the game's greater narrative. How it bakes more invisible mechanics, like its moon phase schedule, into the gameplay. The ways that the internal battery-powered clock alone changes up combat depending on when you play, dictating things like the different sleeping schedules of enemies, even how the game takes video gamey elements, like Otenko's advice panels, and makes them a functioning aspect of the plot. Man, we could make another BBS just on the wispy, ethereal nature of the character art featured in the instruction booklet, and how it relates to the sprite design alone. And maybe we will! Let me tell you, nobody makes a pile of rubble look quite as evocative as the sprite artists behind Boktai. For me, it goes beyond just appreciation for the fine brushstrokes turned needlework pixel patterns of the game's exquisite sprite art, however, and turns into a full-on expression of a certain aesthetic ideology that I have been building since the start of and during the intervening 20 years since I first played the game. You can't be 10 years old in circa 2004, spending your real-life, lazy, sunny afternoons in a crumbling, overgrown backyard, and your arduous winter mornings, ankle-deep in sparkling but bone-chilling Ohio snow, trying to balance the abundance and scarcity of good, strong sunlight enough to progress in what has already become your favorite game, without going to deeply appreciate how the natural and presumably man-made wonders of the in-game world come to inspire you to see a beauty and wonder of a same, if not more powerful potency, in the actual, material, real times and places that you find yourself in as you chase down the sun to cup it in your hand. Wow, can you believe that Boktai made me into an outdoorsy person? Thanks, Ikuya Nakamura. I could write multiple BBSs on the composition of the soundtrack and the deft use of the GBA's sound chip. Did you know that most tracks in the game go on for more than a full minute or so without looping? And that every mainline dungeon has at least 2 unique tracks, each denoting either an outdoor or indoor sequence? Thanks, Norihiko Hibino. I haven't even mentioned the 2 sequels to Boktai that are both on the GBA. Both have solar sensors, just like the first game, and both retain most, if not all, of the mechanics introduced in Bok 1. Thanks, Hideo Koji Ikuya Nakamura. I love all 3 Boktai games. And yes, I said all 3 Boktai games. Do not say the words Lunar Nights in the comments. I'm cursed to temporarily go blind every time I see those words in that order.
The Stellenium. An age of lawlessness and chaos.
Of the Bionicle.
This is Bonediggre Byte-size though, and I am sure I have already taken up enough of your time. But I will not say that none of those potential videos will ever exist. I love talking about Boktai, and I really could do it all day. So, maybe one day I'll write those videos. Maybe one day you'll play the games. Maybe one day I'll finish Boktai 3, a game that was never officially released outside of Japan. Until any of those days come, please.
Keep the sun always in your heart.
Thanks for watching. The script for this video originally started as an article for TYPEBAR Magazine's second online issue that I wrote in one adrenaline-powered sitting after a bad night of wrestling with labor bureaucracy. Please go check them out. We decided to convert it into a video essay afterward though, as it was pointed out to me that the article as I had written it felt very YouTube. Thanks, Matt. I mention this just because I want to be as transparent as possible regarding the process. I did actually describe the opening of the game from memory with no caveats or edits in my original draft, but between then and now, there have been some minor script edits for the purposes of succinctness and viewer digestion. However, I would not be opposed to trying the same experiment again in a less controlled, more off-the-cuff segment in a prospective future BBS. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see something like that. Or don't! And to finish off, let's thank our Bonediggre Patreon patrons. Oh wait, there aren't any!